Hi, Colin Space Cadet here. Today I'll share with you my experience of powering up the laser cleaner for the first time. It wasn't what I expected and it might not be what you expected either. The machine arrived out of the box with no power plug on it. So I thought, okay, no problem. It's for international sales. They don't put a plug on it because they don't know what kind of plug you might need in your country. So I checked with customer support to ask what kind of plug it needed, because it's important that you put the right current rating on the machine. Could be 10 amp or 15 amp usually. I was surprised with the answer. They said you don't put a plug on it. You connect it straight to the power board. Now this is a big deal because you can't just walk up to the power board and randomly connect a few wires in there. So I decided to do a bit of research and figure out exactly how much power it needed and then move forward with putting the right plug on it. So I put a current meter on it, the individual wires. I determined which wire was for the laser head and which one was for the fan. So it turns out the laser head needs 14 amps. It's a lot. The fan, when it switches on, needs 6 amps. And you need another separate air compressor, which in my case is a very small one. It only takes 1 amp. So we're looking at 21 amps all up. That's a lot. You cannot get that out of a domestic power socket. Here where I live in Australia, 15 amps max. And even then, you have to get the socket connected up properly by an electrician. Up to 20 amps, I don't know how you'd get that out of a domestic circuit. And you surely can't just walk up to the power board and put something in there. This is more in the realm of 3-phase, not single phase. So the reality is the only way I was going to get enough juice for this machine was with a generator. So there's my big surprise, another couple of $1,000s to buy a generator. Was not expecting that. Next thing I have to figure out which is the right generator to use for this. And I went back to customer support and they really didn't want to buy into that. You can understand their reasoning. They don't want to be responsible for any misadventure, any misalignment. You get the wrong generator, it damages the machine. Aside from that, they genuinely seem not to have considered this proposition before. So let's start with the current demand, 21 amps on a 240 volt circuit, which we have here nominally. I'm looking at a minimum 5,000 watts. So it's a pretty solid generator. In the end, I decided to buy an 8,200 watt machine. It's an inverter and it has electronic speed control. Now, the thing about inverter, it's electronically controlled, so it gives you a cleaner signal and more accurate voltage control. It also gives you the possibility of electronic speed control, which means the engine throttles back to idle when there's no load. It's only when there's load on it that it brings the revs up. And you can only do that if you've got an inverter, otherwise the voltage is going all over the place. So I got the GenSafe 8200 watt machine. And this is a bit of a gamble because I didn't know how it was going to work with the laser. Happily for me, it did work and it fired up okay. I'll get onto the description of electronic speed control later. It is an important issue and I had some interesting findings there. But bottom line, the GenSafe 8200 inverter generator did work okay with the machine and I've done quite a few hours of work with it so far. It's fairly heavy machine, but it's on wheels. You can move it around. You can put it in the back of a hatchback or a station wagon. So it's feasible for portable work. And that's very important because the proposition that came from customer support that you plug it into a power board, it's really not viable for most people. Okay, if you're setting up a workshop, a dedicated workshop, and you can leave it plugged in permanently, that's probably not most of us. So you want portable, it's going to be generator because you cannot go on site and expect to find 21 amps just coming out of a power socket. Cheers.